we're going to build our actions in chunks. And if you don't already have actions to the, or have access to the actions panel, go under Window, Actions, and up it pops. Then go ahead and click on the new set icon and name it something like 500px textures. That's what I've done. And then with that folder selected, go ahead and click on the new action. And I'm going to name this 5000 px camera. And we're going to add one more layer onto this as well. But let's go ahead and click record. And then without further ado, let's double click on the word background, which does two things. It unlocks it and it allows us to rename this, and we can call it something like a base image. And just so we know, this is whatever generic image we started with. Then we want to use the image size dialog box to change the dimensions to 5,000 pixels square. And if you did part one, I've explained all the minutiae behind this. So if some of this is confusing or you're alarmed, go look at part one, because I'm pulling on information that I would like you to already be aware of. So image size, Option Command I. I'm not going to go up here over and over and over again. I want you guys to start learning these shortcuts if you haven't done so already. Option Command I. Then, if this is on inches for some reason, change it to pixels and unlock this. This link keeps the aspect ratio balanced. It does not allow it to change. We need to change the aspect ratio. We're going to do horrible damage to these pixels. But because it's a texture, it's very forgiving. So 5,000, 5,000, and 300 for our resolution. Pixels, not inches. If you have inches here, things are going to really go bad for you. Photoshop, first of all, isn't going to let you set it to 5,000, but it's going to make an image larger than the room you're in all likelihood. Hold down the space bar, get the hand tool temporarily, move this over to the side so we can see what we're doing. And then now that we have this image, Option Command I, at 5,000 pixels square at 300 pixels per inch, I'll say cancel because it's already there. Let's convert this to a smart object. Right click, not on the name, not on the icon, out here, and convert to a smart object. Then we want to get the Camera Raw filter. Filter, Camera Raw, which opens up the Camera Raw dialog box. Make sure you click the green button so you're in full screen. You can see everything. The steps I'm about to take, I've experimented with, and this is to get a base image that will react positively to everything we're going to do after this. The beauty of having this as a smart filter, all these settings, after we've made all the actions, all the layer comps, everything else we're going to be making, we can still go back and edit these settings and change the look without having to redo any steps. Do you get it? That's the beauty of this action set. So here are the steps I want you to do. I want you to click Auto. Blows it out a little too much. Don't make any changes, because this is just a generic action set that we're going to use for any image, like I said, and then we'll come back and change it. I'm going to crank clarity all the way up and contrast all the way up. I'm not going to touch anything else. Clarity to 100, contrast to 100. We can always come back and change this. The second channel, tonal curves. I'm going to click here. 15 tab, 15 tab, minus 15 tab, minus 15. These are not magic settings. It just gives us an S curve, a contrast curve, which is going to bump our contrast a little bit. Third channel, sharpening. Let's just change the amount to 100. If necessary, we can always come back and play with these other settings. For now, that's good. The last channel we're going to work with is the effects. Click on FX and drag dehaze all the way to the right. And that's it. Yes, we can come back and we can work on this. Let's hit the letter P so we can see before. And before, didn't that image look okay? Wow, not much contrast there, is there? Look at the histogram. It's ridiculous. And this is a pretty strange histogram where the blue and red are on the far ends and green's just peeking up in the middle. When we hit P again, our histogram flattens out and green stretches over more, but we still have this problem with blue and red out on the side. We do have peaks in both the blue and green here, so it's okay, it's a texture. Click OK. Now we have an adjustable camera raw filter that we can turn on and off, that we can double click and change other settings. And we want the last thing for this action, we don't want to make any of those changes now because we're recording. The last thing we want to do is put in a touch-up layer. We're probably not going to need to use it for this particular image, but with others, that touch-up layer is going to come in handy. So this time, I want you to come down to this little icon, but don't click it. Hold down Option and click it so we can rename this as we make it. And we'll name it Touch Up. Click OK and click the Stop button. Now we have an action that we can play. If we scroll back up, I'm going to close this, come into History, go all the way back to where I opened this file, and then come to Actions, click once on it, play this action, and you should do the same thing, and you should end up with something that looks remarkably similar to this, if it ever finishes rendering. There we go. And you're looking at this through YouTube, so the colors are going to be slightly different. And don't worry about what you're seeing here, because later on, we're going to edit this. That's it for this first set of actions. Like I said, we're going to chunk these into different actions. We're not going to continue to add to this because I did this earlier and I had hundreds of steps, literally. Pretty tough to edit at that point, especially if you're not familiar with actions. So work along. We'll get there.